Wow. Okay, so Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes. And I have a website that backs that up. You know, I was talking to Mike, you know, from The Case and George, the two movies that I made with him. If you haven't seen them, go onto my main channel page and go into the playlists and click the movie playlist. Let's see here, I'll show you how to get there. I will show you how to get there because that's what I do. I don't know, I'm weird. I am weird. And you can't stop me from being weird. Alright, so right there. Main channel page. Right? With Kevy Bear and everything. Blah blah blah. Alright, so you go here, you hit playlists. Right? And there's a bunch of them there. You know, I got all my liked videos so you can see what I've watched or what I've liked. Down here, right here where it says movies, you know, you just click on that and there you go. Of course it's going to start playing it, right? There's The Case, the full movie, and outtakes from the movie George, and then there's George. I'm not going to remove that. But yeah, Mike was in all of them, or both of them, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Where is he? Don't I have a close-up of Mike? There's gotta be. There's gotta be a close-up of Mike somewhere. No. There he is. That's Mike.
Right on time, you have it underneath?
Right here in the memory card.
I'll take that, thank you.
Not so fast. I want something for my ex.
What did you have in mind?
The footage that was on this card before you gave it to me.
I'll see what I can do about that. You already know what's on the video from the station?
Never got a clue. Just put it in the machine, hit copy, went on my rounds, picked it up, and put it in my pocket.
Oh, I tried to keep the background noise out of that, but
Yeah.
Okay. Worked.
this was the toughest scene to edit. $5 joke. Of course, I'm wearing my $5 joke shirt. Anyway. Yeah. Alright, so right here, this is the page. I've been reading this. This is a long page, right, with a whole bunch of stuff. But it does state right here, Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes, evidence reviewed. Okay, it's got two doctors, blah, blah, blah. Suzanne M. De La Monte from the Department of Pathology, Rhode Island Hospital, and the Warren Alphabet. Really? No! Warren Alpert Medical School at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island. Department of Clinical Neuroscience, Rhode Island Hospital, and the Warren Alpert Medical School at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island. And the Department of Medicine, Rhode Island Hospital, and the Warren Alpert Medical School at Brown University. I don't know why they had to keep repeating that. Wow. But anyway. And then there's Jack R. Wands from the Department of Medicine, Rhode Island Hospital, and the Warren Alpert Medical School at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island. Alright, So I'm going to put this down in the description box so you guys can read this at your leisure. See, I put it in my notepad, and then that way, when I'm uploading, go down there and say, hey, all right. Right? Okay. Alzheimer's disease. Wow, I'm glad I'm not talking about grammar. Anyway, where's your grammar? No, she's probably with my grandpa. Anyway, Alzheimer's disease, or AD, has characteristic histopathological, molecular, and biochemical abnormalities, including cell loss, abundant neurofibrillary tangles, dystrophic neuroites, amyloid precursor protein amyloid B deposits, increased activation of pro-death genes and signaling pathways, impaired energy metabolism, mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic oxidative stress, and DNA damage. Wow. Alright, so yeah, that explains what Alzheimer's is. Gaining a better understanding of AD pathogenesis will require a framework that mechanistically blah. I can't pronounce these words. Wow. Mechanistically interlinks all these phenomena. Currently, there is a rapid growth in the literature pointing towards insulin deficiency and insulin resistance as mediators of AD-type neurodegeneration. Wow. See, there you go. But this surge of new information is riddled with conflicting and unresolved concepts regarding the potential contributions of type 2 diabetes, mellitus, type 2 diabetes mellitus, right? So it's T2DB, T2DM is type 2 diabetes mellitus, right? So anytime it mentions T2DM, that's what they're talking about. So, kind of like the AD. When they say AD, it's Alzheimer's disease, obviously. Metabolic syndrome and obesity to AD pathogenesis. See, here we go again with the obesity. Everybody associates diabetes with obesity. Well, I apparently have type 2 diabetes, and I'm not obese at all. In fact, I'm underweight because of it. So not everybody that has diabetes is overweight. I keep saying that. Anyway, herein we review the evidence that type 2 diabetes mellitus, whatever, T2DM causes brain insulin resistance, oxidative stress, and cognitive impairment, but its aggregate effects fall far short of mimicking AD. Extensive disturbances in brain insulin and insulin-like growth factor signaling mechanisms represent early and progressive abnormalities and could account for the majority of molecular, biochemical, and histopathological lesions in AD. Experimental brain diabetes produced by intercerebral administration of streptozotocin shares many features with AD, including cognitive impairment and disturbances in acetylcholine hemostasis. And I'm trying. At least I'm trying to pronounce this. And experimental brain diabetes is treatable with insulin sensitizer agents. For example, that's what IE stands for. For example, I have no idea why, but whatever. Off the topic here, why does IE stand for example? IE is the abbreviation for IDEST and means in other words. Remember that E is for example, e.g., and that I and E are the first letters of in essence, an alternative English translation of IE. But why bother with all this Latin? The correct abbreviation for example, is EG, not EX. EX is sometimes used in informal language, but it's best to avoid it, since this abbreviation can be confused with other uses of X, such as it's used to mean former in a term like ex-boyfriend. Okay? EG is used to give one or more possible examples. It's a signal that you're seeing one or a few of multiple possibilities. IE, on the other hand, clarifies you are providing more precise information, where EG opens up more options. IE narrows them down. Okay, so that makes sense. There we go. I am smart. Wow. Holy crap. Okay, so Mike, right? I'm talking to Mike about this whole type 3 thing. He doesn't believe that type 3 diabetes is a thing, right? He just sent me a Wikipedia page of type 3 diabetes. Type 3 diabetes is a proposed term to describe the interlinked association between type 1 and type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's disease. This term is used to look into potential triggers of Alzheimer's disease in people with diabetes. The proposed progression from diabetes to Alzheimer's disease is inadequately understood. However, there are a number of hypotheses describing potential links between the two diseases. The internal mechanism of insulin resistance and other metabolic risk factors such as hyperglycemia caused by oxidative stress, lipid peroxidation are common processes thought to be contributors to the development of Alzheimer's disease in diabetes. So there you go. Diagnosis for this disease is different between patients with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is usually discovered in children and adolescents, while type 2 diabetic patients are often diagnosed later in life. While type 3 diabetes is not a diagnosis in itself, a diagnosis of suspected Alzheimer's disease can be established through observational signs and sometimes with neuroimaging techniques such as magnetic resonance imaging to observe abnormalities in diabetic patients' brain tissue. Wow. The techniques used to prevent the disease in patients with diabetes are similar to individuals who do not show signs of the disease. The 4 pillars of Alzheimer's disease prevention is currently used as a guide for individuals who are at risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. Researchers into the effectiveness of glucagon-like peptide 1, the 30 or 31 amino acid long peptide hormone deriving from the tissue specific, anyway, and melatonin administration to manage the progression of Alzheimer's disease in diabetic patients is currently being conducted to decrease the rate at which Alzheimer's disease progresses. Labeling Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes is generally controversial, and this definition is not a known medical diagnosis. While insulin resistance is a risk factor for the development of Alzheimer's disease and some other dementias, causes of Alzheimer's disease are likely to be much more complex than being explained by insulin factors on their own. And indeed, several patients with Alzheimer's disease have normal insulin metabolism. Wow, okay. All right. So it's something that they're looking into anyway. I don't know. I'm still going to use type 3 diabetes. I'm still going to use that. I'm still going to say that for Alzheimer's disease because that's the path that they're going along. You know, and that's what this website here is about. And they're basically talking about the different evidence and whatever, and if it should be blah blah blah. I mean, this is a big, long website. I am not going to sit here and read the whole thing because that would just take forever. And you probably need to get on with your day. So I'm not going to read all of that. But, you know, it does make sense. This whole thing does make sense. Oh, crap. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so where was I? Labeling Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes. Okay, yeah, I read that. Signs and symptoms. Over time, Over time, an individual will show a progressive pattern of cognitive impairment and decline. The progression of this disease varies from person to person. It's the prevalence of symptoms It's the prevalence of symptoms is dependent on when the individual is diagnosed with the diabetes. Individuals with type 1 diabetes are often diagnosed at a young age, usually between childhood and adolescence. In some cases, brain development in these patients is negatively impacted, therefore showing symptoms of the disease earlier in life. Symptoms of type 2 diabetes is characteristically seen in patients in their mid-60s. Wow. So I'm too young for this. Why do I have it? I don't know. Leading to the prevalence of symptoms later in life. The early stages of the diabetes are often associated with memory loss. However, there are areas such as loss in judgment and reasoning and spatial and visual issues are often early symptoms of the disease. As the individual ages, symptoms characteristically progress to more severe memory loss, poor judgment in making decisions, mood swings, and in some cases, patients are more susceptible to anxiety and or depression. Ooh. In the final cases of the disease, severe and more prominent symptoms are shown. In these cases, the seizures, weight loss, and loss of bowel control are the final symptoms. Ooh. What? My body's going to fail. Maybe it already is. That would explain why I'm so thin. Loss of bowel control? Okay. Seizures. Inability to communicate. Well, the only inability to communicate that I'm experiencing is because I don't have teeth. But I don't think that's what they're talking about. They're talking about, I can't talk, something like that. I don't want to do that because I don't want to offend anybody, but I think that's what they're talking about. Seizures. I haven't had any seizures. That's good. However, in most cases, aspiration pneumonia, silent P, ulcers or untreated infections are the cause of death for these patients. Wow. I'm going to die of pneumonia. Maybe that's why I always feel cold. There are a number of mechanisms that attempt to explain the cause, progression, and the link between type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. Insulin resistance reduces the body's sensitivity to insulin. This is a sign an individual has prediabetes or has progressed to develop type 2 diabetes. The result is high glucose levels in the blood, which leave the individual feeling tired and weak in most cases. Type 3 diabetes is a condition which can follow after initially being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. In type 3 diabetes, the neurons lack glucose, a key element needed for the neurons to function effectively in the body. However, more specifically, the hippocampus and the cerebral cortex. This deficiency can lead to a decrease in memory, judgment, and the ability to reason, of which are key symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. That is very, very interesting. And I will put this link in the description box as well. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, and there's a lot of reading and it's a lot of information, but it all leads to one thing. Type 3 diabetes is or will be considered, or no, Alzheimer's disease either is or will be considered type 3 diabetes. So that's either now or eventually. So I'm going to go and, yeah, tomorrow will be another one of those what? Anyway, yeah. I don't get that. Anyway, yeah, it'll be another Walmart vlog. I don't know. It will be another Walmart vlog. Just for you, because you rule, man. Or woman, or whatever you are. I'm weird. Don't mind me. Just tune in tomorrow and you'll see what I mean.